Right now, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, a U.S. aircraft carrier is moving through the waves, carrying weapons so advanced they can hit targets over 300 miles away before the enemy even knows what's happening. These aren't the weapons you see in movies. These are real, cutting-edge systems that have been deployed in combat zones within the last year. 5 of these weapons are so powerful, they've changed the entire game of naval warfare. China knows about them, Russia knows about them, and they're terrified. Here's why. U.S. Navy aircraft carriers have always been the backbone of American military power. But what makes them truly unstoppable isn't just their size or their nuclear reactors. It's what's hidden on their decks and inside their weapons bays. The technology has advanced so much in the past 2 years that what we thought was possible 5 years ago is now completely outdated. In 2025, the Navy deployed weapons that most people don't even know exist. These aren't experimental. They're operational right now, mounted on fighter jets sitting on carrier decks in the South China Sea, the Mediterranean, and the Red Sea. These 5 weapons represent the most lethal firepower ever placed on a floating military base, and every single one of them is designed to keep America ahead of its enemies. If you think America still has the strongest military in the world, type proud in the comments below. Let's show our support for the men and women defending our freedom. AIM-174B Gunslinger. Let's start with a weapon that didn't even exist 3 years ago. It's called the AIM-174B, and the Navy has given it the nickname Gunslinger. That name isn't just for show. This missile is the longest-range air-to-air weapon ever carried by an American fighter jet. We're talking about a range of over 300 miles. That's 3 times farther than the missiles our F-35s and F-22s normally carry. Here's what makes it terrifying. The AIM-174B is based on the SM-6, a ship-launched missile that's been protecting Navy destroyers for years. But the Navy took that missile, removed the booster, and modified it so FA-18 Super Hornets can carry it under their wings. Now, a single fighter jet can launch this missile from 300 miles away and take out enemy aircraft before they're even close to the carrier. This weapon made its first public appearance during the RIMPAC exercises in July 2024. Photos showed Super Hornets from the USS Carl Vinson carrying 2 of these massive missiles. At first, people thought it was just a test, but then the Navy confirmed it. The AIM-174B is fully operational. It's been deployed with Carrier Air Wing 5 in Japan, which is stationed just a few hundred miles from the Taiwan Strait. Why does that matter? Because China has been developing long-range missiles like the PL-15 and PL-17 to keep American carriers at a distance. The PL-15 has a range of about 120 miles. The AIM-174B more than doubles that. It completely flips the script. Now, American pilots can shoot down Chinese early warning aircraft and surveillance planes before China's fighters even get in range. Without those support planes, China's entire air defense strategy falls apart. But it's not just an air-to-air weapon. The AIM-174B can also hit ships and ground targets. It has a 140-pound warhead, which is 3 times bigger than a standard air-to-air missile. And it flies at Mach 3.5, which means it's almost impossible to intercept. The Navy has been testing a new version that can even shoot down hypersonic missiles. That's the level of technology we're dealing with. Here's the thing most people don't realize. This missile doesn't just protect the carrier, it changes the entire battlefield. Enemy forces can't hide behind long-range air defenses anymore because American fighters can reach out and touch them from distances they didn't think were possible. That's a game changer. F-35C Lightning II with LRASM. Now let's talk about something even more advanced, the F-35C Lightning II. You've probably heard of the F-35, but the C model is specifically designed for carriers. It's got bigger wings, a stronger landing gear, and a tailhook built for repeated carrier landings. But what makes it truly deadly isn't the plane itself, it's what it carries. In 2025, the Navy completed testing on the AGM-158C, LRASM, that stands for Long Range Anti-Ship Missile. This is a stealth cruise missile designed to sink enemy warships from over 200 miles away. The F-35C can carry 2 of these externally or fit them inside its weapons bay when stealth is critical. Here's why that matters. The LRASM doesn't need GPS to find its target. It uses infrared sensors and an onboard computer to identify enemy ships, even in the middle of electronic warfare. If the enemy tries to jam its signal, it doesn't care. It keeps going. And because it's launched from a stealth fighter, the enemy doesn't even know it's coming until it's too late. The USS George Washington just deployed with F-35Cs carrying LRASM during the Talisman Sabre exercises in July 2025. That was the first time this combination was used in a live military exercise with allies. Australia, the UK, and Japan all watched as American F-35s demonstrated the ability to hunt and destroy surface targets without ever being detected. But there's more. The F-35C isn't just a bomber, it's also a sensor platform. Its radar and infrared systems can detect enemy aircraft and ships long before they know the F-35 is there. It can then send that data to other fighters, destroyers, and even missiles in flight. That's called sensor fusion, and that turns every F-35 into a battle manager. China knows this. That's why they've been desperately trying to develop their own stealth fighters, but they're still years behind. The F-35C is already operational on 3 aircraft carriers right now. The USS Carl Vinson, USS Abraham Lincoln, and US George Washington are all flying F-35Cs in the Pacific. That's a level of firepower that no other country can match. And the best part? The F-35C is getting even better. New upgrades coming in 2026 will allow it to carry 6 air-to-air missiles internally instead of 4. That's 50% more firepower without sacrificing stealth. The enemies of freedom should be very, very worried. Before we continue, take just a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of people watch these videos without subscribing, and it costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps us bring you more content like this. So if you appreciate what we're doing here, show your support. Let's keep going. RIM-116, Rolling Airframe Missile. Now let's talk about defense, because no matter how powerful your offensive weapons are, you have to be able to protect the carrier itself. That's where the RIM-116 Rolling Airframe Missile comes in. This is the carrier's last line of defense against incoming missiles, and it's one of the most effective point defense systems ever built. Every U.S. carrier from the Nimitz class to the brand new Gerald F. Ford is equipped with at least 2 Mk-49 launchers. Each launcher holds 21 RIM-116 missiles. These aren't big missiles. They're small, lightweight, and incredibly fast. But what makes them special is how they work. The RIM-116 uses a dual-mode guidance system. First, it locks on to the radio signals coming from an incoming missile. Most anti-ship missiles emit a radar signal to track their target. The RIM-116 detects that signal and flies straight towards it. Then, in the final seconds before impact, it switches to infrared guidance. That means even if the enemy tries to jam the radar, the missile still hits. And here's the kicker. The RIM-116 rolls as it flies. That's why it's called the Rolling Airframe Missile. The rolling motion allows it to use a simpler, lighter guidance system, which makes it faster and cheaper to produce. But don't let the cost fool you. This thing is lethal. In recent combat operations in the Red Sea, Navy ships equipped with RIM-116 systems successfully shot down multiple Houthi drones and cruise missiles. The U.S. Abraham Lincoln fired several of these missiles in the Pacific just last year during live fire drills. They work, and they work every single time. But carriers don't just rely on the RIM-116. They also have the Phalanx close-in weapon system. That's a radar-guided Gatling gun that fires 20mm rounds at 40 rounds per minute. If a missile gets past the RIM-116, the Phalanx shreds it to pieces. Together, these systems create a defensive bubble around the carrier that's almost impossible to penetrate. The Navy is now upgrading destroyers in the fleet to replace older Phalanx systems with even more RIM-116 launchers. That tells you how effective this weapon is. When you need to stop a supersonic anti-ship missile traveling at Mach 2, you want the RIM-116 on your side. Our sailors train with these systems constantly. They run drills, they study, they prepare, and when the time comes, they execute flawlessly. That's what makes our military the best in the world. Not just the technology, but the people behind it. China can build all the carriers they want. Russia can threaten all they like, but they don't have what we have. They don't have the experience, the training, and the technology. And that's why America's aircraft carriers remain the most powerful weapons on the planet. If you found this information valuable, smash that like button and subscribe for more content like this. We cover the latest in military technology, defense strategy, and everything that keeps America strong. Don't miss out. Stay proud, stay informed.